Afternoon. My name is Christy, and it's a delight to welcome you to my channel. Always a delight. The question in today's conversation is, when are you crying? When are you crying? I don't want us to get it mixed up with when you show concern or when you are concerned. Therefore, we are going to describe what crying means. And of course, I looked it up and I found this very simple and fascinating description of crying when you cry. And so it says that crying is when you inquire too clearly, too closely into a person's private affairs. Let me take that again. Prying is when you inquire too closely into a person's private affairs. And of course, I told you, I looked it up and I found this particular one very fascinating. I want us to note that it is that individual, that person, that can define, it is only him that can define what is private to him. That person's private affairs is defined only by the individual. He's the only one who determines what is private to him, not any other person. And the ones he allows into his private affairs should be determined and allowed only by him, especially if he's an adult. Yes, an adult. For infants, for teenagers, it may be blurry, but an adult, he is the only one who can determine and allow who to get into his private affairs or not. So that's it. It behoves on that individual. And usually he is guided by how he disposes to them, to the people he allows into his private affairs. Could be trust, could be affinity, it could be admiration. He could give them some authority over himself. Let me paint a picture so that we'll be able to appreciate what we are trying to say in this video. There are two neighbors, cordial, share mutual respects. Let me call the names Benga and Ni. Ni saw Benga after about 10 days. Yes, let's say 10 days. That was the last time he saw Benga. Usually he would see him every day. It's not as if they chat every day or anything like that, but he would always see him either driving or drive out and things. But for 10 days, Ni didn't notice Benga in the premises. So they eventually met up after 10 days in the premises, and of course Ni showed concern and asked Benga where he had been. Benga responded that he was actually hospitalized for some fever. Oh, so sorry about that. I hope you're regaining your strength. Take it easy and all. After he said all that, he now went ahead to ask Benga the hospital he was admitted into. Benga gave a little frown and answered, "Hospital." At that point, Ni got the image, he knew that he had pride. To the time Ni asked for the name of the hospital, he was showing concern. He was encouraging him to get better, to conclude his medication and his treatment, and take rest, enough rest, so I would regain his strength quickly and get back to his normal routine. However, when he got into his question of the name of the hospital, and Gbenga gave a frown and said hospital, he knew at that point he had started to pry. Like I said, it's only the individual who determines whoever that can get into his private affairs. And Gbenga clearly had categorized the name of the hospital as his private affair. But the beautiful thing is that Nee was not offended. I like that part. Nee didn't was not offended. He was not angry. He respected Benga's position, and their cordial relationship was not affected at all. And both of them were not pretending about it. He was not affected. Nee was not offended that Benga cut him off, didn't want him to get into his private affairs. In this instance, naming the hospital for Benga was private, and he wasn't going to let off that information. And Nee was not offended, and their relationship continued without any problem. And the two of them were not pretending about it. In fact, Benga has been involved to resolve electrical issues, in Nee's apartment after that time out. You see, for me, the two of them are open-minded people who are not given to pettiness. For some others, that was enough to create bad blood, and it could degenerate into unnecessary animosity. you know, the two of them, very decent guys. And of course, I don't want us to think it's a gender issue. You know, two ladies, Lucy and Debbie, traveled. You know, I think it was Lucy that traveled. Debbie hadn't seen her for some time. And eventually, when they met up in the premises, Debbie asked Lucy where she had been. And Lucy said she had traveled. Debbie went ahead to ask her where. And Lucy at that point did not give that information, just said, I traveled. And Debbie didn't take offense because of this. Lucy had categorized wherever she traveled to as her private affair, and she was not going to let Debbie into it. Somehow, Debbie is not just one of the people that she could let into her private affair. So, no offense taken. So I think that when we get into this kind of situation, we should, one, not get offended. Don't let us get petty. She doesn't tell you, fine. He doesn't tell you, good. After all, you're not directly affected in this situation. You're merely trying to show concern. And if the person has now defined your over concern as prying, then you step back and you respect it. And it shouldn't affect your cordial relationship, your beautiful relationship with that fellow. I hope I've been able to make something out of this. Please, it's important. Let us not allow our relationships to waste away because of pettiness. I asked him and he didn't tell me. If it is his own or her own affair, Please let us respect wherever they want us to stop. Not minding whether you're showing genuine concern or not. Yes, thank you very much for listening to me. I hope to see you very soon on yet another topic. Please, if you have experiences, comments, opinions you want to share on this particular topic, please drop it under the comment section. Let's learn from you. Thank you. And please remember, subscribe to my channel. Love, like, share my videos. Thank you. Bye.